The following podcast contains coarse language and adult themes. This week on the show, we take a little Flanagan-adjacent detour along the winding road back to the Overlook Hotel that is absolutely thronged with helicopters. That's right, get your elevators full of blood and your creepy little twin shitheads in your hallway, because it's Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. I'm Riggs.
I'm Eddie.
And this is the Film Addicts podcast. Hey folks, and welcome back to the Film Addicts podcast. I'm here with Addy. What's going on, mate? Cup of Joe there? Cup of Joe?
I'm doing okay. I'm having morning coffee at 9 a.m.
Nice. 9 a.m. Is it recording at 9 a.m. and talking about The Shining is quite funny to me. Can I ask you? I was just saying to Addy off mic, I've got a smoothie. I'm having a smoothie. It's very thick. Put too many things in it, and there's literal pieces of blueberry skin. Anyway. Enough about my blueberries. With your coffee there, is that a colloquialism that translates for you? A cup of Joe, or is that a very American thing?
No, that was straight up my head.
This is such a thick smoothie. I'm serious, man. I could fucking pave roads, clean battleships. I should have finished it before we got started, but I was busy. Yeah, like a cup of Joe is a cup of coffee in America. I don't know why. I have no idea who Joe is and if he invented coffee. It seems unlikely. But anyway, enough of that nonsense. What's going on?
I'm doing okay. Things okay. I'm just watching a lot of stuff.
Ooh, well, we'll get into that in what are we watching.
How are you?
I'm dandy. I'm having a fucking week, man. I'm just having some technical snafus. Like, had to, like, you've heard, like, spoke to Addy. Need to get a new editing system because it's crapped out. I hired out some equipment that was damaged that now needs to be repaired. I was shooting all weekend with the new Atmos Shogun that I've got, and it didn't capture audio for some reason, and I'm trying to troubleshoot that, and it was just a lot of things going, hey Riggs, stop doing this job. And I was like, fuck, and it's really hard to like pick yourself up after all that and be like, oh no, I still want to do this job. I get very tired with all that stuff. All that technical stuff gets in the way of the creative so much, and I was exhausted by the end of this week. But I'm happy to be here. This is beautiful. This is a place of peace for me. Talking about Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. I didn't say Stephen King's The Shining because he fucking hates this movie. We'll get into that. And you know, I can totally understand it. But you know, this is a dude who's very protective of his stuff. And Stanley Kubrick was very single-minded. But we'll chat all about that when we get into the bulk of the episode. Do you want to talk about what we've been watching? Because that's why the people are really here.
Yeah, let's do what we're watching.
What are we
watching?
I don't know.
No, it's very, very October-y. I dig it. So what are we watching? What is it? What are we going on? How many times have you watched Dungeons and Dragons since the last record?
I can't. I've lost count.
My goodness. Oh, that's another thing as well. You'll probably notice these episodes are coming out a little bit late. It's because I didn't have a fucking system. Like I was editing on an older version of my gear and stuff. So apologies for the delay. But yeah. So you've lost count of D&D. All right. What else have you been watching?
No, you go first, and I'll somehow make a count of it.
I just had another sip of concrete, so it's a bit hard. Hang on. Fucking hell. It's like a soup. Okay. I should have a goddamn cob loaf with it. Well, I watched Midnight Mass.
Right.
Because, were you laughing at my cob loaf joke?
No, I actually opened Letterboxd and I saw your recent watch and I was like, I watched that too.
Which one?
You go first and I'll tell you.
Okay. I might not say the one that I watched.
That's all right.
We'll come back to it. Yeah, I watched Midnight Mass. I watched it for this show. But it is in my top 5 favourite shows of all time. Which is hard because it's a miniseries. But on the strength of that miniseries, I mean, pound for pound, some of the best storytelling I've ever seen. I'm so excited to talk about it on the show in a couple of weeks' time and have Leanne back on. I know she's a big fan, and just what an amazing way to tell that story. How rich that world is that he creates. How specific. It's an original piece of work. It plays into all the things that he loves about Mike Flanagan. This is that he loves about storytelling. It had some moments in it where I was literally shook to my very core. I can't say any of them because I'm going to ruin it and then fuck up the episode. But Addie will know the one I'm talking about. The scene where the chasuble and the thing and the whole, and I'm like, why is it called Midnight Mass? And then some stuff happens and it's like, fuck me. It's the best. I recommend everybody go and see it. Watch it on Netflix or wherever you get it. And listen to it before we do the episode. And there's also a really good episode of the Script Apart podcast that we talk about all the time with Al Horner, where he interviews Mike Flanagan about it, and it's really good. It's well worth your time. So yeah, watch Midnight Mass, smash through that pretty darn quickly. I also watched 1, 2, and 3 of the Final Destinations because I was in Halloween mode, and that's all about Halloween stuff. The first one's quite boring. The third one's got a roller coaster at the start, which is pretty cool. And it's also got Mary Elizabeth Winstead in it, who I quite like. She was Huntress in Birds of Prey. But it's the second one. The second one has one of the most baller fucking openings. It's the opening cataclysm that sort of gets foretold, and this young girl who's the woman who plays JJ in Criminal Minds. Any Criminal Minds fans out there? Can't remember her name. AJ Cook, I think her name is. Just this opening crash sequence is fucking outstanding for a Halloween movie, and I dug that one the most. So they're pretty cool. The thing I want to talk about is going to be about the film, but it's also about the experience of it. I went and saw The Killer, which is David Fincher's new film with Michael Fassbender. It's based on a graphic novel, and it's basically it's Diary of a Contract Killer. And it's exceptional. It's absolutely exceptional. It's my film of the year. It's right up there with Babylon or Oppenheimer. I just really love it, and it's so funny to see a director as precise and methodical as Fincher tell a story about someone who is so precise and methodical about their occupation. Just happens to be contract killing. Fassbender is incredible. He doesn't blink almost the entire picture. It doesn't hold your hand. It doesn't give anything away. Like the moments of violence and the moments of action are really tight, and they come out of nowhere. It's explosive. It's not gratuitous. It's just like it happens, and you're taken aback by it. Like really, really powerful filmmaking. It'll be on Netflix on November 10th because it's a Netflix film, but they are doing a cinematic release. I recommend going and seeing it at the cinema. The sound design is incredible. The way that sound encroaches in on this guy's kind of Zen-like mentality about being a hitman, and in a really fun way, and it creates a lot of really interesting transitions. And also the score, Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross's score is, it can't be beat. Those guys are just two of the best composers working at the moment. So I highly recommend that. But when I was at the cinema, I went and saw it at the Cameo Cinemas in Belgrave, which anybody who listens to this show knows is my local. I don't have a local as in my local pub, because I don't go to the pub. I go to the cinema. And they're all lovely there. I know pretty much every one of them by name and know the management. And if you follow me on Instagram, you saw that I put up a picture of a poster they've had to put up in their lobby, or whatever you call it, saying, please... I'll read it verbatim. Hang on one second. So there's a sign in their lobby that says, "Zero tolerance. Our staff have the right to be treated with respect and dignity at all times. Aggressive behaviour and abusive behaviour will not be tolerated. We are here to help. Please treat others as you wish to be treated." Upon asking the manager there why this is up, why they have this sign up in the lobby, they're saying that increasingly they are having more and more of their staff, particularly the younger members of their staff, because it's a teenager's kind of job, working weekends and nights and stuff, being abused. and physically threatened, for being not fast enough, or for that they run out of fucking choc tops of flavor that the person likes and all that kind of stuff. I understand that sometimes life gets us down and we don't really know what to make of things, and emotions can run high. But if you're taking that shit energy into a place where young people are just trying to work, the way that kids need to, or anybody really, that place is just trying to operate as a cinema, which is fucking hard enough in this economy and in this industry. And they're all really lovely there as well. If you're taking all your horse shit in there and dumping it on them, you're a fucking villain. And pray to God you don't do it with me in earshot, because it's just like, why would you want to treat people like that? It's obviously not about them. It's about whatever's going on with you. And to put that on a stranger is absolutely abhorrent. And if anybody's listening who has ever behaved that way to people in the service industry, or anybody really, you can stop listening to this podcast. You're fired from this podcast, because that's not how I think we should conduct ourselves as human beings with one another. Like, we're all in it together. It's the same fucking planet. Let's just kind of make it work. There's a lot bigger things going on that they've run out of fucking choc tops. You absolute loser. So just wanted to, in solidarity with my people, my homies down at the Cameo Cinema, who I really love. I had my 40th there, and they were so great about it. And they all know me now. Like, I'm real regular there, and they couldn't be nicer. And I understand, sometimes they struggle when it's busy or whatever, like any business does. But there's absolutely no reason to behave that way. So yeah, please be kind out there to anybody in the service industry, or anybody that you happen to meet. You never know what's going on for them, or and you don't need to bring your shit to an interaction that has nothing to do with you, really. But yeah, so sorry, I didn't mean to soapbox. I know I do that on this podcast sometimes. I was just editing the Hill House episode, and I realized I was talking about being a vegan and that I don't understand eating animals. That's not a soapbox either. That's just me talking about how I feel about it. If you want to do it, that's, I'm not judging you and in any way at all. Everybody can make up their own mind. But as far as, attacking people while they're trying to do their job, if they're being as courteous and consistent with service as they possibly can be at that time, there isn't an excuse for that. You don't have a side in that argument. I don't care what the situation is. Unless they call you something horrible or something like whatever. But yeah, I just feel like I wanted to, for my friends, for my pals down at the Cameo. So yeah, sorry about the rant, but do go and see The Killer as well. It's awesome.
Also, talking about the vegan rant last episode, that actually stuck with me, so you have nothing to apologize for.
It stuck with you?
Yeah, I've been thinking about it every single day since.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, look, I'm not trying to recruit anybody.
I
mean, we do. People do think it's a bit of a cult sometimes, but yeah, it was just because we were talking about the cats being killed in Hill House and how that was the hardest part for me. It's just, there's my brain just works that way, and if yours doesn't, that's totally cool. But if you've taken a message and you did maybe decide to eat a little bit less meat because of that, then that's great. There's a few more animals have been saved on planet Earth, which is a beautiful thing. However, it does mean that you have to drink smoothies that have the consistency of clag. Clag's a type of glue. Anyway, what have you been watching, my friend?
Yeah. I'll start with the one you forgot. Prey.
Fuck, it really is a thick smoothie. Okay. I'm alright, it's done now, finished. Actually, it's not done. There's about fucking 3/4 of it left, but it's all stuck to the sides.
Also, just to be clear, none of this is actual dick jokes. He's actually drinking a smoothie.
I'm actually drinking a smoothie. None of it's gobby, gobby, gobby. It's not happening. Gobby, gobby, gobby. Come on, Reegs. What are we at? 15 minutes into the episode. Gobby, gobby, gobby. Okay. Yeah, someone mentioned it. I can't remember who it was. Yeah, no, I was listening to the Mike Flanagan'S interview on Script Apart about Midnight Mass, because he was talking about what Dan Trachtenberg did with the Predator series, because he was like, what franchise would you want to work in? And he goes, I've got a really good pitch for Nightmare on Elm Street, or I'd like to maybe do an Alien movie but have it disconnected from everything, the way that Prey is. And I was like, I'm gonna fucking peep that again. I haven't watched that since it came out, and fuck, it is It absolutely rules. Absolutely rules.
Yeah, it's epic. I watched Nope, which was like it was in my top 5 last year, or top 10 at
Hmm.
least. And I watched Prey right after it because I was in the Halloween alien mood.
Yeah, it's cool because I've been skirting certain stuff because it is Halloween. I'm like, oh no, that kind of works. Even I watched The Mask as well with some friends of mine came around last night for dinner and we just wanted to watch something low stakes and put on The Mask with Jim Carrey. That's kind of Halloweenish as well. There's masks and supernatural shit involved.
Yeah, that's awesome.
When did you watch Prey?
I watched Prey. Let me check. Oh no, I didn't log it. But I watched it on the.
Oh man,
I watched it like 2 days ago.
that's pretty weird that we both watched the same
Yeah,
picture
also
within a couple of weeks of each other.
it's not though. Like we've done that before.
We are simpatico, yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I need a refresher after Barbarian, which was it made me scream in the best
Yeah,
way.
right. I haven't watched it yet. I'm gonna get on it. I've only heard good things.
But yeah, it's after Skinamarink, I didn't know if I would ever be scared of like things because I still don't have the courage to like rewatch scenes of that film because it's just it's too much. But
I totally get it.
but yeah, oh, like Talk to Me is a good one, but Talk to Me is also like a little bit more on the gore side.
Hmm.
It's like gore connected with supernatural stuff. It's also really good, very well made.
Yep.
But yeah, Barbarian was it was everything I needed in the most fucked up way possible.
I gotta peep it. It's the younger Skarsgård, the one who played Pennywise. Yes.
Yep.
All right, I'm gonna check it out tonight. I've got tonight off, so I'll watch that. Or maybe I'll convince my sister-in-law to watch it tomorrow night instead of Psycho because she was keen on seeing Psycho. But sorry, and what was the other end?
I watched Killers of the Flower Moon.
Ooh, Martin Scorsese. Martin Scores. How was it?
Yeah, it's maybe his last film ever made. Maybe. That's what.
He's currently working on another one with Leo.
Is he? Shit.
Yeah.
No, he's producing.
Is he? Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. He said.
Is it a good one to go out on?
As it's his like it's his retelling of a story. So yeah, I didn't love it, but that's me with almost every Scorsese movie. It's just it's not my thing. But yeah, it's 3 hours and 46 minutes long with impeccable cinematography. And
Do you know who the cinematographer was? I'm just going to look it up, but just so you know off the top of your head.
I have it open, so I can look it
Oh,
up.
okay. It's all right. Dead air on a podcast is good. Oh, Eric Roth wrote it. No fucking doubt. Cinematographer is Rodrigo Pritu.
I don't. Letterboxd doesn't have that for some reason.
Pritu. Oh, he was the DP on. Oh, well, holy shit! Listen to this guy's fucking
Backlog.
His backlog. Okay, so well, he was. Wow, yeah, he was this director of photography on Amoros Perros, which was Alejandro Inarritu's first film. First feature film, which is an incredible film. It's called, loosely translated, I think it means Love's a Bitch. Okay, so Frida, 8 Mile, 25th Hour, 21 Grams. So he's worked a lot with Inarritu. Brokeback Mountain, Babel, as in the Tower of Babel. State of Play, Water for Elephants, We Bought a Zoo, Argo. I did some things with Lana Del Rey. Wolf of Wall Street. Midsummer's Dream. Oh, he's worked on Silence, Passengers, the Putin interviews, which is interesting. He was on The Irishman. He did a bunch of Taylor Swift pictures, and he did Kills on the Flower Moon and motherfucking Barbie.
Yeah.
Yeah. What an amazing DP, and what a varied catalog of films. Incredible. Yeah, I'm going to see it. I just didn't have, like the other night, I took the day off work and I was like, I need to just get into my zone. And I was going to go and see Serpico at the Cameo, but they changed the date of it because they were doing a retro of Serpico with Al Pacino. And so I was like, I'll just go and see The Killer then, because it was only 2 hours as opposed to 3 hours and 40 minutes. And that's a day. You got to put a day aside.
Yeah, especially with the subject matter that this one has. Yeah, it can be shorter. Like, this would have been like a really good 2-hour film. Because the thing is, it's 3 hours and 46 minutes long. But at the end of it, you're like, or at least hours, like, there was still so much story to tell. And it felt like an incomplete story. Like, there were parts where they started to pick up and then it would just drag. And it happens more than once. But maybe it's just me, or maybe it's just the timing of how I watched it.
Yeah, it might be experiential for sure. Well, yeah, it's definitely a to do. I have Apple TV, so it will come out on that eventually. But if I can get to the cinema before then, I absolutely will. Was there anything else that you were watching?
Actually, it was. Oh shit! Yeah. So that was just films, because I watched TV shows too.
What have you been seeing?
I watched The Legend of Vox Machina again.
How many times through is that?
Oh god, it's like throughout, like season 1 and season 2, it's like 5. But this time I have changed the list of my top 5 shows of all time, and Vox Machina is at 5.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Have you watched that more than you've watched normal people?
No, fuck no.
No? Okay, I was just checking. Hey, you know.
No, because I watched it recent. Like the last time I watched Vox Machina, like at the end of season 2, I was like, man, I love these characters. I was like, I love these people too. I was like, that's it. Like, I don't need more than that.
That's the best type of stuff to when you dig who the creators are as well as digging the show. Sometimes that's not the case. Sometimes the creators of things are shit heaps. So
true.
Yeah, awesome. And like, what did it push out of place that was in 5?
I don't know. Maybe it was just watching season 1 and 2 in like one go, and just like because I watched clippings of like the first campaign. I don't recommend watching the first campaign, because they jump from a home game to like doing it live stream, and like the story is all fucked up because you don't know what's happened before. But yeah, it's like I love these characters. I love the people who created these characters, and I love the characters they create after this campaign and like this story. So that was all I needed. It's like, fuck, man. Like I put out Castlevania, and I put in Vox Machina, and it just felt right. I was like, yeah.
Cycle them in and out all you want. I do that with my top 5 favorite movies every day of the week. Cool. Was there anything else TV?
Yeah. I finished The Fall of House Usher.
Okay. Shush. I've only finished the first 2 episodes.
Oh, wait, you watched the first 2? How good is Bruce Greenwood?
Oh, he's fantastic. He's absolutely fantastic. Yeah. I mean, he's always great, but
yeah,
in this role particularly, yeah.
So yeah, we'll do that for sure.
We'll have to do an episode on that, like in December or something, yeah.
And I've been watching Loki because it came out, and I was still scared because it had something big will happen, and then something big will happen in episode 4, and then watch a movie that comes out in 6 years to follow.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we haven't even written it yet.
But yeah, like it's going good. Jonathan Majors is in it. He's in the show for 3 episodes. That might be a turnoff for a lot of people.
I was going to say, like, I rewatched Creed the other night because I needed a break from all the fucking murders and shit and vampirisms and all kinds of fucking accidents and people getting their heads chopped off and their bums cleaved in half and their penises gobbled. Pornography, really. I wanted to watch Creed because I had training in the morning, and I was like, I'm gonna get pumped up because I really like Creed 3. That's in my top 10 of this year, and I really like Jonathan Majors. I think he's an absolutely exceptional actor, but I don't know what the details of that situation are, and if they are what they are purported to be. He's a very violent man in a horrible way. And I'm watching it going, eek. Like maybe I shouldn't like this. I don't know. It's that artist art kind of thing the separate thing that people can do really easily that I struggle with, you know? Like I can put on Thriller and be like, this is an amazing album, but fuck. I feel, you know what I mean? Like it's like things change over time,
Yeah.
you know, words, opinions, you know, the value of things.
Like,
and sometimes I find myself cringing.
I can't go back and watch Horrible Bosses or one of my favorite movies of all time, which is Baby Driver, because it's an amazing film with amazing performances. I just wish that the two main leads of that film weren't abusers.
Yeah. Who's the abuser in Horrible Bosses?
Oh, it's Kevin Spacey.
Kevin Spacey, that's right. Is he in horror? Okay,
Spacey,
right. I know he's in Baby Driver. I didn't realize it. Yeah. I mean, I think the rule with Kevin Spacey films is you're allowed to watch them if he dies. So
yeah,
spoilers. Baby Driver's all right. American Beauty's all right. Couple other ones, but yeah, everything else you got to kind of smooth over. You know what I'm saying? But as far as like the Loki, the show, like apart from all that, the controversy and the people involved, are you enjoying the program?
I am. And as far as episode 4 goes, I'm not going to spoil because, you know, MCU shows six episodes. So episode 4 has to be the big explosion. And then episode 6 is, wait till like fucking 10 years so that you can understand what this was. But
yeah, a lot of throwing what they call throwing the ball for another movie to catch. Yeah. It's funny. Loki seems to be the one that's like universally liked as a show. Like people, when I tell them my favorite's Hawkeye, they're like, "What? Are you fucking high?" Loki's the best, but yeah, I don't know.
Ki-Hyo Kwan, who was in the first episode, has been in the show throughout, at least until episode 4. That's a big win.
I mean, put him in anything, mate. Fucking. I still make the pitch that they should make him like an Indiana Jones sequel with Phoebe Waller-Bridge's character Helena taking over the mantle, and he ends up being her sidekick, or he could take it over. Fuck, I don't give a shit. Just make more of them. Don't call it Indiana Jones. Just call it. He wouldn't be called Short Round anymore. That's he'd be called something else. But you know what I'm saying? Like you know, do that. And he's such an amazing actor.
Yeah, it's just there's one part where he comes out of like a hallway just screaming, "We're all gonna die! We're all gonna die!" And it's amazing.
I can hear it.
Yeah,
I can actually hear it. Yeah, awesome. Well, shall we get into some nude? What the fuck? Shall we get into some nude? A banana nude.
Too much smoothie for you, my friend.
Too much smoothie. It did have a banana in it, and was I'm pretty sure that was the culprit. The banana was too big. It was too big for the amount of liquid that was in the smoothie, so it was like drinking just a banana.
I have one more.
Okay, one more. Oh, cool. Yeah, no, go for it. I thought you were done.
I've been watching Gen V, which I think is the last.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like the trailers of that show made me real worried because it was marketed to be a parody on the X-Men, and that's a very shitty route to go because everything that comes with the X-Men is very real to a lot of people. And you can't.
One of them is on this podcast.
Yep. And you can't parody that shit. Like if you do that, you're just a shitty person. Because I'm sorry, you are.
No, I tend to agree. Yeah.
But yeah, that not only, and I was wrong. Like first 3 episodes, it was like, okay, cool. So it's not a parody. And then episode 7 rolls around, and which is I guess is the penultimate episode of the season. And I go, shit. Not only is this a parody in the best way possible of the X-Men, it's also the rise of the Brotherhood, which fucks up the universe.
Right. Okay. It fucks up the universe as in the
boys
X-Men universe?
No, the boys
universe. The boys universe. Okay. All right. Well, I guess we'll see. I mean, the boys season 4 will be out next year, I think. If the writer's strike is over, I guess the actor strike's more the point. But but it's a good show. You like it?
Yeah, it's a good show. It's a good break from the very predictable formula that the boys uses, which is 3 episodes of good shit in the beginning, and then like 3 episodes more of just filler with 5 minutes of each episode being actually enhancing the plot. And if you binge season 1, season 2, season 3, it gets very repetitive.
Yeah, okay. All right, I understand that. Cool. All right, well, there you go, folks. There's a few tidbits and little portions there you can go and check out. Check out the V and Vax Machina and what did I say? Wrong, that's not it. Vox Machina. Vacuum cleaners. Check them out. What's it called? Vox Machina.
It's called The Legend of Vox Machina, and I love what you did, because there are 2 characters named Vax and Vex who are twins, and they fuck up the names every time, and you did that without knowing them.
And I did it without even knowing a single thing or having seen an episode at all. Amazing. Well, let's get into some nerd news. We've got a few interesting bits and pieces to talk about. Do you want to do you?
Let's do nerd news.
I love it when you do that. I love it so much. So here is the nerd news. We say nerd news. It's just interesting shit that I saw on Instagram, really. And all of it is grain of salt kind of thing too, I've realised. So I will cite sources, though. According to insiders Daniel RPK and... I'm sorry, I haven't read this before. Hang on a minute. Okay. According to insiders Daniel RPK and Can We Get Some Toast? Who the fuck are they? Apparently there's some sort of entertainment news group called Can We Get Some Toast? CWGST. And Daniel RPK. Can we get some toast? That's absolutely what it says. Anyway, sorry folks, I hadn't read the caption yet. I just read the headline. Okay. The MCU's Spider-Man 4 is eyeing to start production late 2024, and it will be part of the Phase 6 of the Marvel films, which is set to begin in 2026. Zendaya, Tom Holland, and director John Watts are all expected to return. What do you reckon? I don't know if that's true.
Yeah, I don't know if that's true either.
I mean, like I said, take a grain of salt. If the source that we're citing is called Can We Get Some Toast, which sounds like a place where you go to have brunch and all they serve is toast, but I don't know. If it is true, I reckon remove everybody but Tom Holland and just do a solo Batman story. Now that he's on his own in New York, living the Peter Parker lifestyle, and have him work at the Daily Bugle or the Daily Planet or whatever. What are you laughing at? You want to get some toast?
No. You said make a good Batman picture. Like, yeah, Tom Holland's Batman's good.
Did I?
Yeah.
Fuck, I'm getting old, man. The synapses are not firing. Just make a good Batman picture with Tom Holland, and you'd have to make a really small suit and a very tiny Batmobile. He's a little dude. Sorry,
you did
Spider-Man
you
picture,
did
obviously.
that as small, and I was confused where we were going with that.
Well, it depends on where you are size-wise, on the scale. My point is, I just feel like if you were to make it, completely solo, or make it solo, and then at the end of it, you motherfucking introduce somebody else who we might want to see on screen from the live actions. You know what I'm saying?
I have a pitch for that.
You know what I'm saying?
I've been pitching that for a long time.
I know. But anyway, that may or may not happen. Speaking of Tom Holland in Batman, or not, apparently Matt Reeves is being sued for stealing the story from the Batman. Reeves and Warner Brothers are officially being sued for allegedly stealing the story for the story idea from acclaimed Batman writer and penciler Quick, fuck off. Acclaimed Batman writer and penciler Chris Wozniak, I think is how you pronounce that. Wozniak worked for DC Comics, where he penned a treatment that he pointedly claims was ripped off by the studio. It went unpublished, but was emailed to Batman movie producer Michael Uslan in 2008, according to Wozniak, as an idea for a film. He actually said Warner Brothers and DC attorneys are embarrassingly still making the same threats they were when we started with this. I was clear from the start. We're here for the long haul. We're going to trial. Holy shit.
I don't reckon anything because I don't know much about that.
Yeah, it's true. We have no insight. It was like, he doesn't seem, when you hear Matt Reeves talk, he doesn't seem like the kind of guy who would pull from that. Like, he completely got rid of Ben Affleck's script. Like, when they were going to do that. You know, that was kind of the idea at first, before they got Pat in and all that. It was going to be Batfleck, and they were going to make that picture. But to start from scratch, but then take an idea from 2008, yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just one of those happenstance kind of things. But whatever. Mission Impossible 8, Dead Reckoning Part 2, it won't be called that anymore, it's going to change its title, has been delayed until 2025. Not really sure why. I'm assuming it's probably because of the strike.
Yeah, because they haven't...
Or maybe they need time to re kind of jig things.
Yeah, because they haven't shot it yet.
They must have shot some of it,
Yeah,
surely.
some of it, surely, because the way it ends is... Yeah. Some of it might be shot, but again, the writer's strike was up for 4 months?
Yeah.
And
longer even, I think. It was longer than that.
Yeah, and the effects of that we'll see in the next 2 years.
Yeah, things will either get really good or really bad. I'm not sure, but I'm sort of hopeful. Speaking of Tom Cruise, though, this is pretty cool. He sent Timothée Chalamet an email with a list of experts for stunt training. Being that Chalamet is in Dune and you know could is on the precipice of being an action star, or has the possibility to be if he wants to. Tom Cruise sent him an email in which he said, in old Hollywood, you would get dance training and fight training. Nobody holds you to that standard anymore. It's up to you. That's a fucking baller move. Like, to be one of the last traditional action movie stars, and to say that to a younger person is, yeah. I know Tom Cruise is a bit of a whatever, about people are weird about him sometimes. You got to respect the craft, you know?
If you don't respect his craft, at least respect the love and the fucking dedication he has for his one.
Yeah, and to do things like that, and he's right. It's, you know, you don't. I always remember the Iron Fist series on Netflix. It was rushed into production so quickly, and they didn't hire someone who was a martial artist. They just hired some dude from Game of Thrones. He had like 3 weeks to learn his fight scenes. I'm like, well, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't seem to, that part of it doesn't seem to be as important. So I like the fact that he's like, you got to go out and get it. You got to go out and find the people who will teach you how to do this stuff, you know? And finally, this one's for you, my good friend. Matthew Vaughn. You know the Matthew Vaughns? He's got a picture coming out. Can't remember what it's called. Something or other. But he's also the director of the Kingsman pictures. During an interview with the Happy, Sad and Confused podcast, director Matthew Vaughn revealed his details for a scrapped Superman trilogy that he initially pitched to Warner Brothers with acclaimed comic writer Mark Miller. Vaughn said, Mark and I sat down and plotted 3 films, a 3-film trilogy. Saying a 3-film trilogy is an oxymoron. But anyway, pitched it to Warner Brothers before Man of Steel. We pitched how to do a trilogy of Superman movies, and Waters said they weren't interested. That's as far as it went. And then he says, our big idea was that Krypton didn't blow up. It does eventually. With Superman's grown up, suddenly there's a mass exodus and all hell breaks loose. So it sounds a little bit like The Dark Knight 3, honestly. And who was the main villain? Brainiac, Zod, and Luthor. Interesting. I don't think he's the director for it. I think he's too bombastic. Like, you need somebody who's a classicist, like Richard Donner, to really kill it, you know?
Or fuck it, because I'll say it. Wes Anderson.
It'd be colourful. It'd be fucking colourful if nothing else. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, you know, it's like nice, cool to hear about the what ifs and the maybes.
Yeah, man.
Especially when it comes to Superman, now that we're getting a new one.
Are we?
Yeah. Honestly, don't know. Last week we were talking about Kurt Russell being cast as Jor-El. I'm still on that train, man. Fucking Kurt Russell! Make it happen. Speaking of Kurt Russell, he's not in The Shining. But you know who is?
No.
Sorry, did I detour too quickly? Did I just sharp right turn along the winding road to the Outlook Hotel?
Yeah, because I just sent you something.
You just sent me something. Is it nudes? I hope it's nudes. Oh, fuck my hole. Hang on. Oh, okay. Addie sent me a little sum. Apparently, the Punisher showrunners and the Loki Season 2 directors will handle MCU's Daredevil series. Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead are set to direct. With Dario Scardapane, I think it is, Scardapane, to be the showrunner on Daredevil Born Again. This is the one they'd started filming and they're like, nah, that's shit. Fucking start again. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. You could do that. That's the equivalent of being in the middle of a math test, completely fucking it up, handing it into the teacher, and the teacher's like, you can do better, and giving it to you again. You know what I mean?
I've seen that happen. That exactly.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I would leave the school. Apparently, it won't be a continuation of the Netflix series, according to Variety. Well, I think it will be in the fact that it's got the same cast, but I don't think they'll reference it.
Yeah, here's my thing. It was never supposed to be a continuation. It was always supposed to be a reboot. I don't know why people are fucked up on this.
It's called Born Again. It's in the titles, pals.
Also, I got bullied this week on Instagram for not watching Daredevil, so I'll have to start that soon.
Who was the person who bullied you?
It was like friendly bullying. I was in a group and I said I've never watched it, and everyone was just like, what? And then one of them posted a story on like the question thing that we have for our podcast, is saying, what would you say to someone who hasn't watched Daredevil yet?
I would say that person is in charge of their own life and mind your fucking business is what I would say. I hate this weird militant thing around TV. Ivan Decker, the Canadian comedian, has a great joke about it when he's talking about, people get really crazy. Like, have you watched all The Walking Dead? No, I haven't. Well, you need to. You got to watch all 10 seasons by tomorrow. I'm your friend. Calm the fuck down. I'll get to it or I won't. Or you like something and they're like, oh, that's terrible. Yeah, well, I can like it. It's all right. I'm not going to come to your house and force you to watch the DVDs. Relax, everybody. Just relax. Can we relax and take a trip to the mountains where we will be alone inside of a fucking haunted-ass hotel for a little bit of time? Could we do that now?
Yeah.
Wonderful. It's The Shining, everybody, from 1979, I think it was, or was it 80s? Hang on, wait a second. Maybe I should do a little
79,
research.
but everybody says it's the 80s.
It really does. Well, that's a perfectly good place to start. To chart. That's a perfectly good place to chart. 1980 it was.
We're taking. Oh, okay.
So it was definitely 1980, based on the Stephen King book, obviously. Directed by Stanley Kubrick, Stan the Man, gone too soon. I know he died a long time ago, but it was still too soon at the time. Jack Nicholson, Shelley Duvall, Scatman Carruthers, Danny Lloyd played Danny. Just a fantastic a cast. Talking about when it was made. What's funny? It's because I said Scatman, isn't it?
No.
What have I done now?
There's nothing wrong. It's just reminding me of something because you said gone too soon, but then you said, I know he died a while ago, but and then it reminded me of the episode in Ted Lasso in season 2 where Jamie goes on this news channel and he says, "Rest in peace to George Harrison," and the newscaster says he's been dead a long while. He's like, I just got to know.
Yeah, but I only just found out. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Ted Lasso rules.
Oh god.
Go and check out our Ted Lasso episode, everybody, by the way. It's such a good show. Yes, Stanley Kubrick did pass too soon. But that's not what we're talking about. Thinking about the time period, it does feel kind of 70s-ish. It would have been shot in the 70s. But it was released in 1980. Stanley Kubrick does tend to truncate his shooting schedules. But just thinking about it, because it's so removed from time, when you watch it, it ekes different periods. Like it's a bit like this, but it's also a bit like this. And then the geography of the places is kind of like, not the geography, sorry, the design of everything kind of feels like it should fit in the 70s, but they see some other stuff that's kind of 50s-ish, and then the Overlook itself is quite like gothic in terms of its architecture. It's got the maze and everything. What is your this is sort of the question I like to start with. What is your experience with this film? Because did you find this after Doctor Sleep? Because Doctor Sleep is a spiritual sequel in only to this film. It has the DNA of this movie, but it's actually a sequel to the original book. It's not a sequel to this film. However, in the book, the Overlook explodes, whereas and in Doctor Sleep it's not there anymore, but they've kind of changed it. So it's a kind of mix and match from the two is what Mike Flanagan did. What order did you see these in?
I got to know what The Shining was with Doctor Sleep. I'm not gonna be like, oh, I was born in the 70s and I watch it then. I'm sorry.
Clearly not. It's a bit of a giveaway considering you wouldn't have even been born. So
we don't know that. What?
That's true. This might be a different life of yours. This might be number 3 or 4. You have no idea.
Oh,
maybe you were at the Overlook. You've always been there.
Yeah. Are we going into Midnight Mass territory now?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Fucking weird vampire dude.
Right. So I watched the trailer for Doctor Sleep, and I was like, I have to watch that. And then I got to know there was a sequel to The Shining. So I watched The Shining. It was fun. Didn't quite understand it. There was Doctor Sleep. I was like, maybe if I go back, I'll understand more. And then I did, and I understood more.
I feel like you can watch Doctor Sleep and have it. It does live autonomously in a sense. Like there's some stuff that you will probably threads correct, or if you just read the book of The Shining, maybe. Mm-hmm. But I think the best way to describe what the difference between those two sensibilities are and the two films are is that Stephen King said it best. He was asked, "What did you think of Kubrick's?" And they famously had a lot of
back and forth,
fracas about it, and changing of things. And the character of Jack is supposed to be quite sympathetic. Even though he is an alcoholic, he's sober at the beginning of that film. He has been for a while. It's when they're like, "Oh, we lock all the booze up, of a nighttime. We lock all the booze up during the closed periods. When it's winter." And he's like, "That's all right. We don't drink." Saying, him and Shelley Duvall's character. It's. And he hurt his son, and when he's talking to the barman who isn't actually there, is either a figment of his imagination or is in fact a ghost. And there's argument for both. When he's saying, he's like, he got the shit everywhere and I yanked him a bit hard and I didn't mean it, but he hasn't found, and Jack's so kind of unlikable. Jack Nicholson, he's so antagonistic immediately. He's kind of smug and self-satisfied in the interview as well, that first interview, and he's like, "Oh well, it's gonna be okay and the wife's gonna love it," and blah blah. You're like, I don't believe a fucking word you're saying. Whereas the character of Jack in the book and in the Steve Weber led miniseries that King was much more happy with, he is much more sympathetic. He does fight the demons a lot harder. And in interviews when asked about it, King said of Kubrick's interpretation, it's cold.
Yeah.
It is cold, and he means that literally and figurative. Like it is emotionally cold. At the end of it, the boiler blows up and kills Jack. He freezes to death in the maze in Kubrick's version, and that's a difference. There is absolutely, and I'm not saying this is a knock on The Shining either. I think The Shining is as close to a perfect picture as you're going to get. But if you were thinking about where it came from,
the adaptation,
it's emotional.
Process.
Yeah, exactly. It's not. It might be there in spirit in terms of what the story is, but the emotional warmth and humanity of it is stripped before you even start. So that's interesting in terms of adaptations.
Yeah, I have like a weird take with The Shining, which is I kind of like this version of Jack. I haven't seen the miniseries, so I don't know
Neither
any
have
other
I.
iteration.
Yeah.
But I do know that in the book he's very sympathetic, and that like him being absorbed by the hotel is a horrific thing. But I feel like when we start off with him not being likable, the hotel absorbing him is much more of a, well, I guess it was bound to happen kind of situation, right? Because
He's susceptible to it because he's fragile emotionally and psychically.
absolutely, and like it's very weird how, I don't know if you feel about, I don't know how you, like you'll feel about this, but I feel like the Overlook Hotel is very much like Hill House.
It is, yeah. It's not necessarily a specific
It's not, yeah,
spirit or specter. It is, yeah. It's a poltergeist that is controlling the household. Absolutely.
like it's not evil in the evil sense. It's just there, and it will be there, and
Yeah,
it's you and how you affect it that will like seal your fate to it. I forget this character's name every fucking time. I forgot it in the Doctor Sleep episode as well. So who's the man that Dan sees every time when he's shining?
the Oh, hang on, I forget too. Wait 1 second. I've got it pulled up. Dick Halloran.
Yep. Like Dick Halloran in The Shining says that the hotel shines too, right? So it's how you affect it, and like there are part like when he's walking in the hallway and he goes inside the ballroom and he sees the bar. You're right. Um there's argument to be of both. Either he is relapsing, or you know their ghosts are helping him relapse. But nonetheless, he is relapsing, right? I feel like in a movie that's easier to do if you start off with this character being so fragile. Like even in the interview, you get the feeling that this person has like this person is living in the delusion of everything's going to be okay, because like he can't fathom the idea of not being okay, right? And in like most horror movies, when you have a family, the father is the one who like fights off the demons, gets the family out, like Hill House. And this is the total flip on that. Like this is the end, and the eventual trauma that this is the beginning. This is the beginning of the trauma that Dan will suffer for most of his life.
Yeah.
And it's the end of the innocence that his life sort of had. Like there's this very cool philosophy. It's not even a philosophy. It's just like it's a very cool thing that I heard somewhere that I'm going to say because I don't know where it came from.
Okay.
That there are three deaths that happen in a person's life. One is death of innocence. The other is death of morality, and the third is death of body, which is right here.
Yeah.
And
He just pointed to a tattoo he has on himself.
yeah, those things shape the way you are as a human. Like if your innocence dies late, that shapes you. If your innocence dies early, that shapes you.
No, that's such a beautiful way to put it, and I think, coming back to what you said about, yeah, it normally is. It's the patriarch, it's the alpha who is like, I will save you from the motherfucking shits and come with me, and all that kind of stuff. And he is like a broken person. And Shelley Duvall's character is not the savior either. She screams behind that door. Here's Johnny. She's doing her best, but it's not, protecting Danny is everything, but she's not by no means a traditional hero either. She doesn't strap the knife to her body and go after him. She's just trying to survive, which is interesting. The other thing I want to mention as well, saying that you know the three sort of deaths of self. The other one is death of ego, and ego is driven in Freud's philosophy. It was driven by the libido, but that's very particular. I feel like it's more ego is when everything you define as yourself is tested. Jack is trying to be a writer, though unsuccessful. Like, he's like, I'm going to do this, but it's not just hit the fact that he's constantly typing, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. He's not a good writer. He can't write. And that's part of the death of his ego. It's why when the house takes him over, it happens so quickly. In comes what's the wife's name? I keep saying Shelley Duvall because that's the actress, but
I'll look it up.
I'm sure I've got it up as well. It's so silly. I just watched the picture. Wendy. She comes in and she's like, "Get any writing done today, hun?" Like, I love her voice. Like, she played Olive Oil in the Popeye movie that Robert Altman directed, where Robin Williams played Popeye, and that was like universally panned and hated. I fucking love that movie. I think it's really good. But anyway, she's just got that really interesting high voice, and he's like, every time you hear me typing and you come in here and why don't you get the fuck out of here? Like that kind of, that's the ego. That's all ego. It's like, what I'm doing right now is more important than you. And when that dies, when he realizes that being sober it isn't the answer. What he wanted doesn't come from that, and what a horrific feeling that must be to think that you have a problem, correct that, and then realize it's not the problem at all. I think that is a real ego death for Jack's character, that he like makes it so much easier for him to turn.
I love the way that the Overlook is shown. Like, I watched Hill House before I watched The Shining. But that's what we get. Wouldn't have been that way though, right? Hill House would have come before Doctor Sleep.
Would have come, yeah, it came out because he was writing Hill House he was writing Doctor Sleep while he was working on Hill House. So that would have been released before that, yeah.
But yeah, it's just the parallels were insane of the Overlook. Like, I remember like that, like when Jack goes into that room of like the 237 room.
237.
Yeah. And I was like, maybe he cheated. I don't know. But there is possibility of like everything.
Do you mean with the ghost or in another time?
Like he did cheat in his past.
Yeah, absolutely. There is absolutely no doubt in my mind that's the case, yeah.
Because if not, then then that happening doesn't quite make sense. Of like that being the thing that's like haunting you in a way.
Well, I mean, that comes back to what I was talking about before with the ego death as well. Like, here's this beautiful woman. I know he's under the thrall of the house, of the Overlook at the time. Here's this beautiful woman who he doesn't know where she comes from, but she's naked and live and nubile, and he thinks, I'm in for a win here, and he thinks it's on, and then he hugs her and she turns into a decaying old woman. Like, a man's masculinity is so defined by his ability to be attractive to the sex that he is attracted to, whether it's men or women or otherwise. But that for the male ego, that's a huge thing. And Jack doesn't have that anymore because he's with this wallflower woman. Not saying that Shelley Duvall's not attractive, she is, but by the standard you would be thinking comparatively. That's a huge thing. But then there's a scene that comes after that where, because Wendy's come down and be like, someone grabbed Danny, someone in 237, he's got bruises on his neck or whatever. And then he's like, I'll go and check it out. And he comes down and he's like, he's done it to himself. Does Jack know what just happened, or is it gone? Has he experienced that and then that's gone again? Because that's kind of part of the thing that makes him crazy, is that nothing connects when he's there.
Like, he can't make sense of the things that's happening to him.
Exactly, yeah. There's no sense of time. Like, we understand it. because it tells you, the audience is told when it is, but for them it's kind of whatever. And I think kind of the mundanity of it as well, like when they arrive, and he's got these great like tracking shots on a dolly, like where it just follows people and you see the beautiful geography of the place. And I understand that there's a documentary called Room 237, which talks about all the little conspiracy theories that are going on inside of it, like what all the angles mean and what all this means and what that means, and the time on the clock every time you see it, and it's hinting that he directed the moon landing and all this stuff. But there is a weird geometry to it. Yeah, there's this conspiracy theory that he directed the moon landing because
came out of
NASA
nowhere.
No, it's true though. That's a really old conspiracy theory that Stanley Kubrick directed the moon landing because he borrowed lenses from NASA in order to shoot 2001, and people were like,
okay.
The gambit for that was you have to come direct the moon landing, and he did it on a backlot, and they actually never went to the moon. You don't open the door to that conspiracy theory because you'll just lose yourself in it, or you'll have a conversation with someone that will be. It's like talking to a flat earther. Like it's just.
I have 2 friends who are flat earthers, and they've done that in my D&D campaign, and I cannot tell you how frustrating that is.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm all for people having their own opinions, but I don't know if it's contrarian or just ignorance. Like I really don't know. Are you trying to be different, or do you actually think this is like the the universal proof around that not being the case is astounding. And if you can't follow that, like I don't know. Anyway, fuck all that noise. The point is that there's all this weird geometry to the place as soon as everybody else is gone. Like they arrive, they're a little early. He's like, "Oh, sorry, we kept you waiting. That's okay. We're able to have a little breakfast first," and then that kind of thing. And it's real mundane. Or this is the cellar. This is where you're gonna have the thing. And then Dick comes in. I'm the chef, and do you like ice cream and all this like really normal stuff. And that conversation that they have together is great. Where he explains that you can hear things and whatnot. Hey, I'll come back to that, but. The geography of the hotel doesn't work. Like if you break down where they end up and stuff like that. But when he goes into the office, there's a window in the office, but it's at the center of the building. Shit like that, like none of it doesn't connect the way that it should, and it's not a mistake. Like Stanley Kubrick doesn't make mistakes. He is pragmatic as fuck. They did that, the fucking blood coming out of the elevator thing like fucking 4 times or something, had to reset the whole thing each time. He's exacting in a way that even David Fincher doesn't do, really, really specific. So there's that kind of interesting shit going on, but it mostly happens after they're gone. Like the hallways that Danny's riding around, like he should end up in a circle, but he doesn't. He kind of takes 2 rights and a left, so he should end up back where he was. And then you see the little girls and whatnot. The scene with Dick and young Danny where they're having the ice cream and he's talking to him about The Shining, and Danny explains that it's actually a little boy who lives in his mouth. And he's like, "Can I see him?" No, he hides when he's talking to the psychotherapist in the extended cut. And then he explained to him what The Shining is. And then later on, when Danny retreats, and it ends up being Tony, who's like, he's always there, like Danny's not here right now, that kind of thing. That is, I'm kind of forget my point. I got so excited.
It's okay.
Talking about The Shining, I got completely lost in I fucked up my own narrative. What were we saying?
We're saying about
the mundanity is what I was talking
about.
Like there's so much mundane shit that goes on in it that then is punctuated by these peculiarities.
Yeah, and then you're talking about how, like, when they have the shine conversation.
Mm.
This is the first time I've ever seen like a superpower done that way. It was the first time I saw that, and it was like, fuck, that's cool. But also, like, it also is a horrible foreshadowing for something that happens later in the movie.
Oh fuck!
Yeah,
it's so funny that we were talking about it on the last episode. Where this is a horrifically horrible. Oh, it's not horrifically horrible. Sorry, wait. Let me recheck. It's a very frightening film.
Yes.
The music's doing a lot of work to it as well, but it's also like visually striking because Kubrick locks a camera off and just lets shit happen in front of you, and that's really scary. Like if you whip pan to a jump scare, you're doing a lot of the work for the audience. If you leave a camera locked off and have a weird, creepy old woman peek from out behind a shower curtain, I defy anyone not to have like, it's the Midnight Mass thing. It's when everybody in the church turns around. Sorry, we're going to ruin Midnight Mass for a second, everybody. 3, 2, 1.
I'll put time codes in so you can skip this part.
Good, yeah. Skip out of this, but it's important to say because then Addie will know what I'm talking about. It's where everybody turns around and there's the creature in the chasuble. And you're like, all you can see is its eyes. And you're like, fuck me. Like that show, it was like when I were talking about Hill House, I had to turn a light on. Midnight Mass was like that too. Like it was lights on situation. And The Shining, watching it at the cinema was incredible. Like just such a wonderful experience. But it was unsettling as fuck to feel that way. When you say superpower, it's interesting because The Shining is the title of the film and the book, but it's not what the story is. Like The Shining it becomes more so if you understand Dr. Sleep because you realize that the hotel was actually feeding off of Danny. But it's just this kid who's got weird, freaky powers. Like it doesn't come off as a superpower the way that it does in Dr. Sleep. Like he doesn't have control of it. It's just a fact. And even Dick doesn't. Like Dick doesn't have a real understanding. He's just what would be termed, if you were to look at the behavior as intuitions.
This heightened intuitions is what a lot of people have called it.
Yeah. Or empathy, like being able to empathically feel other people's feelings, that kind of thing, which is a totally, a legitimate form of human expression is people being empathic and feeling. It's why sometimes when you're talking to someone, you're like, this is all fake. Or you just feel someone else's energy or what, like it's just some people are more susceptible to it than others. But this comes with the added, bonus of being able to listen to people's thoughts or, dictate them. And that's, The Shining is a supernatural ability, but it's like what the hotel's doing is also that, but they're just doing it to Jack.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And his corruption is like, kill the kid, because the kid's trouble for us, and kill Dick because he's going to be trouble as well, and kill your wife while you're at it. Like we are corrupting you. We're going to eat your soul, and that's what this is. It's in Dr. Sleep. They're starving. Fuck, these are good movies.
No, right? It's like it's a good movie when you're just thinking about it and you can't actually say things about it.
Yeah.
Like your mind, my mind, because it's all fucked, can't it's not true. It's not untrue. See? I didn't.
It can be both.
But yeah, it's when your mind can't comprehend into words what you're experiencing. Some movies do that. Some movies have a reason why they do that. Like if you watch a movie and 5 minutes in a giant elephant shits on you, you're like, well, this is going to be all right.
This is what this is about, yeah. Well, I think the thing about most of Kubrick's films, and particularly The Shining, because it does deal with the otherness, the things that we don't understand, there's no explanation.
Yeah.
You don't know why Jack is totally willing to accept the fact that there's a party going on in the ballroom. And he walks in there and he's all happy and he's like, to have a drink, and because, I got 2 bills in my wallet that are, thought they were going to be there till next June kind of thing, and blah, blah, blah. And then he gets the avocado spilt on him by Grady. And that's it's disgusting, by the way. It's alcohol and egg yolks or something, but whatever. And all the parties going on, nothing bad. And they're in the bathroom. This is the most chilling scene for me, is where he's like...
You've always been here?
Tells him his name. Yeah, exactly. But he's like Grady. And he goes, you killed your wife and children. Like that kind of thing. He's like, oh, I don't recall doing that, sir. And then he's like, your son has reached out to the N-word. And he's like, the N-word? The N-word. And, you need to stop that. The hard hit of that N-word, that's a fucking horrible word under every single circumstance. But in this particular moment, it is used 3 times in a row, and you realize the venom that it has, and like how the hotel is using prejudices that it understands that Jack's character has to manipulate the situation even further. Thinking about Jack Nicholson, his performance in this, like he's played unhinged better than anybody, right?
I believe so. Like,
yeah,
I'm not a fan of the Joker. You're not surprised by that because I've said it so many times. But
you don't like his version of the Joker?
No, I don't like Joker. Period. As a character.
You don't like the Joker?
Yeah, like the only impactful thing the Joker has ever done is kill Jason Todd. I will die on that hill.
Sure.
I'm sorry.
It's a good book. It's good. No, Death in the Family is a great book.
But yeah. Dude, there's something so fucking unsettling about like his eyes, man. Like he's in the car and the way he's speaking and the way it's just locked onto him, it's so unsettling.
Dad, I'm hungry. Well, you should have eaten your breakfast then. Like is just really, or when he's like, talking about the people in the Andes, or not the Andes, or the mountain ranges or whatever, who had to eat each other, or some story that he's telling in the car drive on the way up there. And she's like, oh, maybe we shouldn't talk about this. And he's like, it's all right, Mum, I saw it on television. He goes, you see, he saw it on the television. Like he's kind of shitty at everything. And he's so, like I said before in the interview, he's so smug and so fake in the interview. And then you see him in like the reality of who he is. Jack's career is outstanding. I know that he's got a bad reputation and in some circles or whatever, but his work as a young man, as an actor and director, and his performances like this, The Last Detail is an incredible picture. Fucking One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest is just amazing. He did some really interesting work in the 90s as well, where he stopped being that version of himself and was quite avuncular and warm. About Schmidt is a perfect example. It was early 2000s. As Good as It Gets is one of my favorite films. I have never seen a more accurate portrayal of someone with obsessive compulsive disorder. The scene where he has to give the dog back to, he's been babysitting his neighbor's dog, and he has to give the dog back, and he's gotten used to having it, and he has to, he's standing at the door, and it's a tight close up on his profile, and he's just breathing, trying to deal with the fact that he's about to have a panic attack because his life is being changed. And The Departed, what a horrible, wonderful performance of a villain there. It's such a loss that we didn't get to see more of his older man. Michael Caine's only just retired and he's 90 something. Like Jack Nicholson retired in his 70s because he was having trouble remembering lines and stuff. I think Departed might have been one of, if not his last role. Yeah, a truly gifted actor and a very specific type for each period. Like his youth was kind of fiery and crazy. Then he was kind of funny in the 80s and was doing some weird shit like The Witches of Eastwick is a fantastic performance where he kind of plays the devil. So good. And yeah, 90s and 2000s where he was playing against type and that. I think this is probably it's got to be his top 3 performances.
Yeah, I've only seen him in this stuff so I can't like.
Oh right, okay. It's like go revisit some stuff. Just try look up Jack Nicholson on whatever streaming service you use or whatever, and just see what he's been in and see what sparks your interest, because he's fucking electric. Like you can't take your eyes off him. At the end of this film, where he's on the stairs, which is so beautifully mirrored in Dr. Sleep between Rose the Hat and Danny. Really great. And where he's, I'm not going to hurt you. Give me the bat. Give me the bat. I'm not going to hurt. I'm going to bash your brains. I'm just going to bash him right the fuck in. Like he's so, you want to laugh, but it's really horrible as well. It's just to skirt that line is, what an amazing performer.
Yeah. It's like the performances. This is the thing that's one of the most terrifying things. Is like I can get used to the ghost shit in the house, but the things that these people that this person is doing to his family is fucking horrible. And I truly believe that at the end of this film, Danny has a panic attack because he sees what his father is going to do. And then Tony takes over and shines the fuck out of Dick Harlan. That's how he comes.
Yeah, that's what happened. He sees the blood in the elevator, Danny, and he's sitting there, and he's twitching and he's drooling and all that stuff. And the great performance by that young actor too. And yeah, like he gets taken over by the spirits, by his inner self. What's happened? Ninjas? Have ninjas finally come for you?
No, I'm sorry. I heard a knock and I'm the only one in this room.
That's fucking bloody odd and weird. We're talking about the shinning.
I know. Anyway.
Yeah, I think also the calling of Dick Halloran, like that was what I was trying to say before and I lost my track. He is the only casualty, apart from Jack. It is the only actual act of, physical violence in the entire film when he gets fucking axed in the chest, coming to save the day. It's so funny too because it keeps cutting back to him. I noticed it for the first time when I watched it at the cinema for whatever reason. It cuts back to Dick a lot. He's in the thing. He's on the plane.
Yeah.
He's landing. He's talking to the buyer, getting a hire car. How am I going to get to the Overlook? Oh, it's not working out with these people. Turned out they're real assholes. And then you see him driving up there in the fucking the snowcat. And he finally gets there. He walks in. The place is empty, and he gets fucking axed immediately. I'm like, well, what was all that for? You know what I mean? Poor motherfucker. Traveled for days and days and days. Nonsense.
But yeah, Dick Halloran is my favorite character from that film. I don't know.
He's also like really, really well utilized in Dr. Sleep.
He is. Probably that's the reason why. Probably.
Yeah. It speaks to you more.
Yeah.
I love the what I would term arriving and being the savior, and then that doesn't happen, and it falls to Wendy, to Shelley Duvall, who is also, like, she was famously tortured by emotionally tortured by Kubrick while making this picture, like, to get her to the place of terror that she got to. She said it was a horrible experience. I think she kind of forgave him as the years went on, but during it was a real harrowing. There's a fantastic behind the scenes clip of them getting ready to film the extremely famous, so famous it's the poster art, Here's Johnny part, which was an ad-lib by because I don't think Kubrick didn't know what the Johnny Carson show was because he lived in the UK, but that was just, Jack having a good time and getting into his character. There's a great thing of that scene where, Shelley Duvall's in the bathroom and Stanley's like, yeah, okay, we're going to do this and blah, blah, blah. And you see Jack in the bedroom, the adjacent bedroom, getting ready for the scene, and he's just jumping up and down and pumping himself up and like getting ready for the scene. I love that. I love that kind of aggressive character work that some actors do. Some people take it too far, but in the way that, after the death of Dick, signifies the end of safety, like they're on their own, that kind of bit is where we kind of kick into gear, and so much so that the house gets overly confident and starts revealing itself and showing Wendy, lovely party, and it's a guy with a fucking crushed skull, and she starts seeing the two little girls again, which is, that fantastic shot, where Danny comes around the corner, and you realize that this is there's no way out but through, kind of situation. I will say as well, when Danny's riding around the house, the fucking Foley work on
the wheels,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
On the wheels. So he's on carpet, and then he hits the floorboards, and then back on carpet again. Like, there's something about that drone that is so. You would have to do it. I know you'd have to do it as a Foley artist. You'd look at that and go, well, that needs to change. But there's something really specific about it that's unsettling. It's
a kid on a tricycle in a hotel where there's only his parents. It's not even the fact that it's a haunted hotel. It's just that he's alone. He's alone, venturing into a land of things that he doesn't know. And we get to see some of it through his eyes, and it's all fucked up. Like, of all kinds.
Yeah, and you see the two girls, but then you see the flash of them all both chopped up. That's like that's also in the interview process where it's like, well, it's something we had to disclose, but someone went crazy and killed his entire family up here, and he's like, oh well, my wife loves that kind of stuff, and blah blah blah. You getting shined again?
I'm not kidding. There's like a continuous knock too.
Go and get him. Get him.
No,
Fuck
there's
off.
nothing there. There's nothing there.
It's probably a bird or something, or a ghost. But yeah, like he's talking about his wife likes horror movies and it's going to be fine. Like everything that he doesn't disclose to them, throughout the film, it starts there, like that mistrust. Just before we kind of come to a kind of a rounding up and talk about Stanley for a little bit. Have you seen many of his other pictures?
I've only seen this in 2001.
His movies are so specific. He is. It's a Kubrick movie. Like they're marketed as such. He makes films very particularly. He has a real understanding of space. He would have been a good architect. Like the geometry of his work is so particular and so even. Like you often look at a frame and it's perfectly even. In a lot of respects, and I like that a lot. I know that he manipulated the text and changed it, so he does it with all of his films, and he has famously had fracas with screenwriters forever. There's an entire book written by the guy who wrote Eyes Wide Shut about that very thing, that he struggled to work on this screenplay with Stanley because he at once knows exactly what he wants, but not what he wants until he sees it, kind of situation. Yeah, I know that it wasn't well liked by the creator, but things change and mediums change, and this is a absolute masterpiece of a film. Like it can't be denied. The performances that he was able to get out of people, the images that he put on screen, could never be replicated. In terms of their impact, their impact in popular culture, in the zeitgeist of what movies are. Like, if you say The Shining to someone, 9 times out of 10, they're going to probably say 2001, but that other one time, they say The Shining before anything else. Like, it really is an absolute masterpiece.
Yeah, I agree. 2001 for me stands above this for a lot of reasons. But yeah, this one is this is one of the films that I really want to show my friends because they're scared really easily.
Oh yeah, well then they'll shit a solid gold brick, mate.
Yeah, what?
They'll shit a solid gold brick. That's what's going to happen.
I couldn't understand what you said before. So
that's right. My accent went real deep for a second there as well. It was like went full yellow. Oh yeah,
but yeah, I mean the image of an old man, or like a white old man in a suit getting a blowjob by someone in a bear costume is something that's like in my head now for like eternity. And heck,
the turn towards camera and the crash zoom onto it as well, and the fact that he's all in that bear costume, there's a flap at the back and his bare ass is poking out of it. Well, we all know what's going on there. Didn't notice that part? I noticed it in fucking 4K the other night. Christ.
I really didn't.
Go back and treat yourself. But yeah, crash zooms are really used really well in this. He uses zooms a lot. He was, as opposed to even, dollies or tracks or whatever, he zooms in on details and really beautifully. The one last little part that I will talk about before we start winding up is the scene where it's Wendy and Dan and they're watching TV and he's like, "Can I go to my room and get my toys?" And or get a truck. And she's like, "Your dad's sleeping." He keeps going to bed later and later, and because it's getting to the point where he can't sleep at all because he's just, what do we not see? Like we see so many interactions that he has with these ghosts. What are the ones we don't see? When it's the scenes with Wendy and Dan, what's going on with Jack? Like, when he's sitting at that, what does he think he's writing?
Yeah, that's the big question that I have is what in his head